She was a broken vase on the floor, until one crack let the light in. But what happened next is what separates those who stay shattered from the women who become the mountain. I am Lila. I worked 2 jobs, took a course at night, and learned to laugh like nothing was heavy. By day I answered emails with a smile. By night I folded my silence into the corners of an apartment that echoed. I was the sister who reached first, the friend who offered plans she never wanted, the worker who swallowed a brilliant idea because the room felt too big for her voice. Every mirror felt like a question. Every quiet moment felt like a verdict. The sting landed in small ways. The silence after a text. The half smile from a boss that said, nice, but meant accepted but replaceable. The burnt smell of coffee at midnight as I tried to finish one more essay. My body knew exhaustion by name. My hands learned the awkward geometry of holding it together. And then, what no one saw, there was a night when the city lights leaned in and I let myself fall apart on the kitchen floor. Tears made hot tracks down my cheeks. I thought of all the times I had been told I was too soft to lead, too emotional to decide, too much and not enough in the same afternoon. But then, something in the tumble whispered, not loud, not dramatic, just a sound like rock settling. Enough. What no one saw was the small, stubborn thought that followed. What if I could be steady? And here's where it changes. The turning point wasn't a speech or an epiphany. It was a storm. Literally, a late summer thunderstorm that knocked the power out and left the apartment tense with the scent of wet concrete. I sat in the dark, the rain punching the window, and I remembered the mountain my mother loved to climb as a girl. She told a story, women who became granite by being hit and staying. I had heard it as a child and filed it away like fairy dust. That night, in the blackout, the story came back as a question. What if you became the thing that holds storms? It was not magic. It was a quiet, fierce voice inside. You are not fragile. You are forming. But that was only the beginning. Truth 1. Your cracks are maps, not sentences. I learned to look at my scars and stop flinching. The old hurts, broken friendships, failed projects, nights I'd surrendered to fear, each left a line. Those lines weren't proof of defeat. They were proof of routes I had walked and survived. When I traced one with my thumb, I could almost read the lesson. I had been through fire and I had not dissolved. And the next truth cut deeper. Truth 2. Silence is not absence, it's listening. There is a difference between shutting down and deciding to hear your own pulse. I started to let silence be a place where I could find my questions instead of a space that swallowed me. In those quiet hours, I learned to hear the difference between what others expect and what I need. That listening felt like planting a root. Truth 3. Small habits are the slow work of mountains. I began tiny rituals. I answered one email that scared me. I spoke up once in a meeting. I walked to the park and put my shoes on because the path mattered. None of it felt heroic. It felt like tiny stones stacked day after day until my shoulders remembered how to carry weight without breaking. And the next truth changed everything. Truth 4. You don't need permission to be steady. I stopped waiting for the nod, the praise, the go ahead you can. I started saying yes to my own small acts of courage. When I stopped asking if I was allowed to be seen, I began to create room for myself where there had been none. Truth 5. Strength keeps its softness. The old stories taught me strength was hardness. The newer truth taught me strength was the ability to hold tenderness and firmness at once. I could be compassionate without collapsing. I could be fierce and still cradle my sorrow. That balance felt like a mountain with moss at its base, unyielding and alive. The work was humbling. There were mornings I wanted to turn back. There were presentations where my knees shook and my voice split. There were dinners I burned and apologies I wished I hadn't made. Courage, I learned, is not a single roar. It is the accumulation of small breaths that do not yield. One day, months into this slow building, I stood at a podium for a community project I had almost talked myself out of. My hands steadied as I reached for the microphone. My voice broke on the first sentence, but I kept going. The room blurred into faces. Some were new, some were old. By the time I finished, I wasn't loud. I was steady. The applause was not the point, the standing was. I felt the ground under my feet, and for the first time, I did not feel like I could be moved by a gust. The real lesson wasn't what I gained. It was what I refused to lose. My sense of self, my dignity, my right to exist fully in my own light. I refused to trade my softness for approval. I refused to let other people's measurement of me become my metric. So, my friend, if you have ever been told you are too much or not enough, hear this. Your cracks are not your end. They are channels where light can enter. They are proof that you have been standing in the storm and did not wash away. This story is taking you toward your own choice of strength. It leaves you with self-worth that rises in small acts, and a hope that looks like a slow mountain morning. Patient, sure, inevitable. What do you do now? Start small. Make one tiny choice today that says you matter. Speak one sentence you have been holding back. Walk to the place that scares you just enough to be honest. Repeat. Repeat again. The last thing you hear is this: you are not broken. You are becoming the mountain. Like this video, subscribe for more real and life-changing stories every day, and share this with someone who needs to hear. Be the mountain.